Welcome to another edition of Reflections. I'm Fred Hammond, former teacher at Beverly High School and volunteer historian at the Beverly Historical Society, which is the sponsor of this program. And we're very, very fortunate today to have Charles Bucci Jr. as our guest. The subject on this program will be his wonderful dad and the family's move to Beverly and some of the stories connected with his dad. It's not often that one can interview Santa Claus.
It was a pleasure to serve.
How did Dad get into it?
Well, he was a member of the Chamber of Commerce, the Beverly Chamber of Commerce, under Oscar Olson.
Yeah.
I think he might have been president of the retail division at the time.
That's right.
And I'm not sure that it was the North Shore Mall, but they wanted to do something to stimulate business in Beverly at Christmas time. And they came up with the idea of a parade. And it was on Sunday, by the way. And the natural selection for Santa Claus was my dad. He sort of had the physical attributes that went with Santa Claus. Along with the body style, he had the laugh.
The ho, ho, ho.
And the ho, ho, ho. That was very important, by the way. Yeah. Little kids know one thing about Santa, and it's ho, ho, ho. Yeah. And that's what he did.
Plus, he loved people.
He loved people.
And was the center of attention.
He was the center of attention. One of the things.
This picture we have up has Charlie as Santa Claus, and who's the other person in the picture?
That's Joyce LeClaire, his granddaughter.
Joyce LeClaire, married name?
Joyce Frizziello.
And she, of course, is looking at Santa Claus, and it's her granddad. Yeah.
Dressing.
He did not wear a pillow. He didn't have to. And the other thing was, a Bucci is still Santa Claus on the very parade that was started back after World War II.
This is about 56 years.
Yeah.
56 years of Bucci's been Santa Claus.
So you were Santa Claus for 9 years.
My father for 30.
Wow.
My Uncle Paul for 17.
Wow.
I for 9. And the present Santa Claus for the last 6 years.
And that is?
Michael Bucci, policeman, City of Beverly.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What a tradition.
If you ever get stopped by Michael Bucci, just say, ho, 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 Santa. Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me.
The other Santa Claus picture we have is a wonderful picture. I just wish it were clearer. And this is in the Bicentennial Parade, which was in the late fall, I think, of '75. And here's Santa Claus, 76, Charlie, right? So
76.
He's towards the end of his life.
Yeah, that's correct. A year before, yeah.
He's in a special horse and wagon. And he's, as we mentioned, he's going by the U.S. Post Office on Rantoul Street. His market, his store would be 3 or 4 blocks beyond this. And what we can't see because of the fuzziness of the photo are the Beverly Bicentennial Committee in costume. They're standing along the street, and Charlie is going by. So at this point, he really is a very well-known community figure.
One of the things about my dad being Santa Claus was he used to put on a suit 90 times, the maximum, 90 times between Thanksgiving, the Sunday after Thanksgiving when he played in the parade, and Christmas Day. 90 times, and he had 2 suits because being as large as he was and as active as he was, he had to let one dry out while he...
Where did he go other than the parade and Beverly?
Well, every year the Commodore would announce 2 weeks before he was going to appear with his lousy band that people should make their reservations, party reservations in different rooms, and he'd go from room to room.
And then he went to Beverly Hospital on Christmas Eve.
Went to Beverly Hospital, Lynn Hospital,
yeah.
Salem, North Shore Babies Hospital.
Yeah.
He went to the VA at Fort Edwards. He went to the Chelsea Naval Hospital. He went anywhere. And what he would do, if he was going to put on the suit and he knew he had talked to a woman that was having trouble with her child, then he'd say to me or whoever's driving him, we got to stop at this house before we go to the Eagles Christmas party, or the Elks Christmas party, or the Moose's Christmas party, or the KSC Christmas party. Whatever it was, we had to stop at a house before we went because he had to pay special attention to some child that needed correction, and that's what he would do.
I can corroborate the story because my mother was in Beverly Hospital with a broken elbow, fell on the ice downtown, and I saw Charlie on Christmas Eve.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. That's in my book, Reflections, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Came out to Needham. I was running a bazaar out in Needham.
Wonderful.
And he came out to help me because I was running the bazaar and I needed a Santa Claus. But I always played Santa Claus in Needham. So he came out and he played Santa Claus. And a woman came up to me as I was running the bazaar. She says, "Hi, Charlie. I just sat on Santa Claus's lap." She thought it was me. And so in the afternoon, so I went to the priest, the parish priest, and I said, "Ermi told me she came up, she kissed Santa Claus, and she thought, big deal, she thought it was me." It wasn't me, it was my father. So then I put on the suit and went down. In came the priest, came up to me, and says, "Mr. Bucci, your son's doing a hell of a job running this bazaar." He didn't know who Santa Claus. When he put the suit on, nobody knows who Santa Claus is.
This picture here, I think, is exceptionally good. If we can hold it up, Charlie, a little bit. Your father is speaking. Abe Glovsky is to his left, and Henry Cabot Lodge and Mrs. Lodge are to the right of Charlie. We do not know the other man in the photograph.
John Volpe.
John Volpe?
The governor.
I am sorry, Charlie. You are right. What is the occasion? Election day or something?
No, Henry came in, he was running for vice president.
Okay,
and
1960.
And he came to town, and it was a sort of a rally launching his campaign. And Glovsky was his campaign manager in the area, and of course Governor Volpe, being Republican,
was on the ticket.
He'd be on the ticket too. Yeah.
So what was your relationship between your dad and Mr. Lodge?
Oh, Mr. Lodge loved my dad. Mr. Lodge used to call my dad up whenever he had an animal that he was slaughtering. My dad was a butcher, and he'd say, "Charlie, I got a lamb up here that we're going to have for lunch," or something like that. And so he'd invite my dad up, and my dad would go up and slaughter the lamb, and of course stick around. And bring an awful lot of occasions, he brought his band to Henry Cabot Lodge's place.
And we talked about it earlier, but George Cabot Lodge was in the band for a while, along with many other musicians.
No, but he was only in the band for just a few occasions. He came down to the store because my dad had been asked by the Republican committee in Massachusetts to greet Eisenhower at South Station. And they wanted a small band. They didn't want a Salem High School band or a Beverly High School band or something like that. It's too big a band to take up too much room. So they had Bucci's Lousy Band go in and greet Eisenhower. George Lodge knew that that was going to happen. He came down to the grocery store. He walked in the store, and my dad was behind the meat counter. I was up front in the cash register. And he said to my dad, "Mr. Bucci, I hear you're bringing your band in to greet Eisenhower." My dad says, "That's correct." He said, "I'd like to play in your band. I play the clarinet." My dad says, "You're in." He says, "Great." He says, "Do you have any music?" My dad says, "You got the wrong band. We don't have any music." He says, "Well, could you give me a key? What key do you play in?" My dad said, "Back door key, front door key, Chevrolet key, any key." So anyway, George went in. And then when George ran against Senator Kennedy,
2 years later,
he asked my dad to bring his band to the convention, and they went from room to room and to get the delegates all revved up for his election and selection by the committee.
why was your dad a Republican?
My dad, no. What happened was, no. My dad, I think, was Republican, but what happened was about 3 weeks later, Adlai Stevenson was coming to Boston, and the Democrats called, this is God's honest truth, Democrats called him up and said, Charlie, is your band Republican? He said, no. We said, Adlai Stevenson's coming down, and he went and played for Adlai Stevenson too. Yeah. But the thing about it, about George Lodge was when my dad died, the obituary in the Boston Globe was my dad leading George Lodge with his clarinet. So if you ever saw the obituary, that's what that you'd see.
Yeah. Beverly was a pretty Republican town.
I guess it might have been.
It was.
I think
when we were growing up, you and I.
In those days.
Your dad and mother came up here from Pennsylvania.
On their honeymoon.
And that was a great story as to how he came and stayed and opened his market.
Yeah.
You want to tell that story?
Well, he came to Beverly on his honeymoon. Actually, the truth, I just found out, by the way. I talked to my mother, and I said, "Why did you go to Beverly on your honeymoon?" He said, "We didn't. Actually, we were going to go to Marlborough, where my dad had relatives. My dad had an uncle in Marlborough, and when my mother told her mother that they were going to Massachusetts on their honeymoon, my mother's mother said, I have a sister in Beverly, and if you get a chance, go see her. She'd love to see you." So my dad and mom went to Marlborough on their first, and stayed there for about a week, and then came to Beverly. They were driven to Beverly by the people in Marlborough. And my dad was easy to like. He knew all the songs, all the Italian songs. And so Mr. Acevati liked him very, very much. And they stayed there a week too, by the way, down on Front Street. And he said to my dad, "Look, you've got a great personality, a great guy. If you ever decide that you want to take a chance and go in business, I'll front you. I'll give you the money." So my dad went back to Pennsylvania, and at that time he was working for the Latrobe Steel Company, and they announced that they were going on a three-day work week. And so he said to my mother, "Call up your uncle. We're heading to Beverly." He came out to Beverly, got $3,000.
1930.
1929.
29.
The end of 29, 30.
Yeah.
30.
There was obviously the Depression.
Yeah.
Starting.
Yeah. That was the middle of the Depression, right? 29 it started? Something like
it's
that.
early in the Depression.
Yeah.
And for him to get a $3,000 loan from somebody he barely knew.
Yeah, barely knew. By the way, he had just gone on his honeymoon. In 1928, he got married.
Yeah.
Had my sister in 29 in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Came out here, had me, my mother had me on Front Street in October of 1930. He had just come out.
Yeah.
And
family relationships are very important with Italian Americans.
Amen.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. His brother came up.
Well, he brought the thing that got me when I hear the stories was how quickly he was successful, or if not successful, able to share whatever was happening, because he brought his brother, two brothers out, one right after the other, Romy first and then Billy. And they lived with my mother and father in the back of the store.
I understand they did.
In the back of the store.
Oh, that building is torn down?
No.
The
wine cellar.
The wine cellar is still the building?
Yeah,
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah.
It's just been changed.
Just been changed, right. The thing about that location, and
this is Rantoul Street, folks.
Yeah, part of the reason.
Corner of Federal and.
No, it wasn't on the corner. It was one store in, if you will.
There's a parking.
There was a Freddie's Barber Shop on the corner of Federal.
Good for you.
And there was an alley, and then my father's store, and then the Venetian Cafe.
Okay.
The Venetian Cafe and Bucci's Market were linked together by a back porch.
Okay.
So what would happen would be, when the woman came into the store with her, she brought her husband, the woman would come in the front door of the store. The man would go into the front door of the Venetian Cafe. My father would go out the back door of the store, buy the guy a drink, and then come back and wait on his wife.
And the Venetian Cafe was owned by?
Freddie Paglia.
Okay.
The Paglia family, yeah.
Now, this picture we have is the Eagles group.
No. 68 Club.
68 Club, I'm sorry.
68 Club.
And we have Charlie in the middle.
My dad.
And we have a number of Beverly people in the photo.
Mayor McLean.
And the Pia fellow you just talked about?
Freddie Paglia.
Yeah. Now, a few of the other people?
Jackie Lyons, L&G Package Store.
Correct.
Eddie Foley, that was a package store up on Cabot Street that was right next to the Times. I can't think of the name of the store, though. This is my Uncle Romy. This is Al DeLuigi, owned the Salem Sign Company. Charlie Ivana, he owned Ice and Oil Company. Charlie Ivana owned the Ice and Oil Company. Manny Gilboard, he was a salesman for a meatpacking firm. He eventually opened a store at the Four Corners in Middleton. I know the name of it. Can't think.
Did you go up there and work there?
Where did I work?
Did you have a package store in Middleton? Or
We did,
yeah,
Route 114, yeah, 1 mile outside of town.
Yeah.
What we tell everybody on that was that in those days, women didn't want to be caught dead in a package store. So nobody would go to the package store in the center of town in Middleton. They'd go out to Bucci's because we were 1 mile outside of town. And they'd buy their booze out there.
This photograph's going to the Historical Society, and Charlie's going to write the names in the back.
I am.
And we're still wondering about the 68 Club.
Why
it's called the 68 Club. So if there's anybody out there in TV land that has any idea why the 68 Club came into existence, we would appreciate an answer. The other thing we're going to do is Charlie is going to read some of the testimonial and dedications to his father. Plus, I think a song that Doc McGinnis used to sing. I think one of the stories you told me just a few minutes ago was interesting, is that he would play at these Irish places and you have to play Irish music.
No. He led, when he was asked to lead the singing at the Holy Name Society annual communion breakfast on Palm Sunday, they would ask my father to lead the singing. They always, because he loved to sing. He'd sing anywhere. But anyway, they'd ask him to sing, and because Monsignor Deegan was the pastor, all the songs that they wanted to sing were Irish. So it was Tora Lura Lura, When Irish Eyes Are Smiling, H-A-R-R-I, all of the Irish songs. At the end of that singing, they'd say, okay, Charlie, you can sing one of your songs. And he would sing, I Must Marry an Italian Gal. You want to hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. I got it right here.
Charlie, you're amazing.
Hey, Joe, I say paisan, just a minute, excuse, what's the proper? You read him today, the matrimonial news. What's the matter, you want a wife, a lonesome little wop? And when I find a gal what I like, I'm gonna make her to hit you up. There's the French, the Irish, the Dutch girls. In the advertisement you see, they may be very nice to you, but a lot of baloney to me. I must marry an Italian gal. That's the best of kind. I don't want the flop with the bob in the hair who push him up here and push him down there, who'll leave the dish in the kitchen sink, who'll look at the chic in the motion picture. I don't want the wife just for fun. I wanted the kind who'll make her the man. My cousin is Salvador. He's a got one. She's a cook spaghetti, bake the bread, sell the hooch, pay the rent. She sew the dress, she sew the hat. She fix them up this, she fix them up that. She washes the dish, she scrub the floor, and when she's through, she work in the store. She works all the time. She's no lazy, you bet. She got 5 kids, 4 more come yet. That's why you see a man like me must marry an Italian gal. I don't want the fast one like Suzette. She's looking nice, but too much pepper. Something's wrong, I'll bet you a dime when the Iceman come in the wintertime. Pedro's wife is one big fool. She's learned to cook in the correspondence school. She's no fixer to the dinner pail. She's a boiled 2 eggs sent her by mail. My brother's wife is crazy in the head. She got the radio right beside the bed. She waking him up 3:30, say, look, honey, I got station WBVD. And after every verse you sing, that's why you see a man like me must marry an Italian gal.
Charlie must have brought the house down.
It did.
After all the Irish songs, they must have just laughed.
That was a favorite song. And he knew all the verses. I have to read them. He knew all the verses.
Okay, now what do you have here?
This is a song that Doc McGinnis used to sing. Doc was, go ahead.
Doc was the foot doctor. His son is still, who lived down near Monument Square. His
Montserrat?
office. No, Monument Square, downtown.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where his office was. I think they just sold the building. Yeah. And he also lived on Bertram Street, where I lived for a while, when the kids were real small.
Doc McGinnis was a real necessity for Bucci's Lousy Band to be a success. Really was, because he knew all the songs. There wasn't a song he didn't know. One time when my dad was playing, and because Doc McGinnis knew all the songs, he'd say to everybody in the audience, "What do you want to hear? Name a song, we'll play it." And so
Play trumpet.
he played the trumpet, but he knew all, as I say, he played by ear. He didn't have to have any music in front of him. He just knew it. He listened to the radio and he'd pick up the song. So my dad said, "What do you want to hear?" And some said, "When the Irish Eyes Are Smiling." Doc McGinnis played it with the band. And he asked another woman, "What do you want?" She said, "If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked the cake." He said, "Thank you very much. What do you want?" And the other woman said, H-A-R-R-I, and he played H-A-R-R-I. He asked another woman, says, "If I knew you were coming to bake the cake," he said, "Thank you very much. What do you want?" He says, "If I Were a King." He played If I Were a King. After the show's over, he goes back, he says, "Guys, this was the best audience we ever played for. There are 3 women out there who said if they knew we were coming, they would have baked the cake." Doc McGinnis says, "You idiot, that's a song."
He also had a good sense of humor.
When my dad would introduce the band, what he would do is he'd use Italian names for each of the guys. He'd say, "This is Pasquale, Giuseppe, Antonio. This is Guglielmo," and 3 Italian names. Then the last guy he'd say, "And Doc McGinnis." You'd ask each of the guys to sing. The guys would sing Irish songs. They'd sing Sweet Rosie O'Grady.
And they were all Italian.
They're all Italian.
Except for Dr. McGinnis.
Sweet Rosie O'Grady, H-A-R-R-I, all the Irish songs. They come to Doc McGinnis and he sang Pino Pantalone, the Salami and Sausage Man. Nobody knows this, but this was a song by the Frank Petty Trio, played at the Elliott Lounge in Boston. 1954, this was #1 on the charts for about 6 weeks. Nobody remembers it. And
this was McGinnis's favorite song.
This was McGinnis's act. "My name is Pino Pantalone. I'm the Salami and Sausage Man. I go with a girl, a very pretty girl. Her name is Mary Ann. Each night when the moon is shining, shining up above, with my guitar in my hand, I go to Mary Ann and I sing my song of love. 'Cause she's so nice, tra-la-la-la. It's paradise, tra-la-la-la. She cooks spaghetti macaroni for Pino Pantalone, the Salami and Sausage Man. Now the rich girl lives a life of ease and travels near and far. The poor girl dreams her life away just wishing on a star. Now my girl has no time to dream or travel, it's a shame. She works all day and sleeps all night, but I love her just the same. 'Cause she's so nice, tra-la-la-la," etc. Now the rich girl buys her clothes at stores that cater to the best. The poor girl shops at fire sales and fights like all the rest. My girl shops at rummage sales. She has no pride or shame. She looks so awful in those, but I love her just the same. 'Cause she's so nice, tra-la-la-la, etc. Okay. Now the rich girl drinks imported bourbon, whiskey, scotch, and wine. The poor girl has her glass of beer. It only costs a dime. My girl drinks Boilermakers. After 2, she goes insane and starts to climb the chandelier, but I love her just the same.
Charlie, that's wonderful. But do we know who wrote that?
Frank Petty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
Frank Petty. Yeah.
We're running out of time on the first program.
Okay.
So you have this written in Italian.
This was presented to my by Dr. Alt to my dad.
Hold it up, if you would.
It's on parchment paper, and it's a little frayed here with age.
Hold it up.
But it's all in Italian, and it's done in, what would you call that? This is a type of printing that
script.
by hand.
Yeah, right.
City of Beverly. On the appearance of this festive occasion for the celebrating the birth of Charlie Bucci on July 24th in the year of 1903. All of my friends of the family of the Bucci family salute him. I'm not going to go on and on and on, but it's a beautiful piece, and it's signed by Dr. Alt down here.
But this was at a testimonial dinner or lunch or something?
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
It might have been at the school committee meeting. Might have been
Okay.
at that on the occasion.
Charlie was on the school committee for one term.
As far as I know.
And Dr. Alt was chairman for a
Chairman
while.
of the school committee. And
And
Star King was on the school committee
He was
at the time.
superintendent.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
superintendent.
superintendent of
Yeah.
the school, that's it.
Now, you said when Charlie got sick towards the end of his life, Dr. Alt was his doctor.
Dr. Alt was his doctor,
Yeah.
yeah. Heart attacks, he had quite a few heart attacks, yeah.
And he died in 19,
77,
yeah,
yeah,
in his sleep,
in his sleep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And your mom's still alive and she's turning 100.
She's past 100. She's 101 month.
Wow.
100. We just celebrated her 100th at the Danvers-Port Yacht Club. 280 people. It was a hell of a party, a great party. Had a 30-piece band there that my father played in. Joe DiLorenzo.
Sure.
At 9:30 in the morning on Sunday, you go over to Danvers-Port Yacht Club, you'll find 30 guys there, all of the
All old
boys.
timers, like
yeah,
me.
yeah. What was the boys that we were talking about that he drove? Howard, Mr.
Yeah,
Howard's
yeah,
children. About 3 of them in the band, by the way. And the DiLorenzos are in the band. All of them play, by the way. I don't know if you know this. Danny plays.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
Mr. D.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played with your dad on occasion. I'm a saxophone player.
Yeah. He played, at one time, he was playing about 7 bands. He was out every night with that baritone. He went to Linfield. He played at the Wakefield Band, Rockport
Yep.
Band in Beverly, and he played with Joe D.
Yeah.
Joe D had 30 pieces playing for about a half an hour before my mother got to the party.
Great.
And then he had hired a singer. Pavarotti would be jealous of. He filled the room. He sang Italian songs for about it. Yeah, he was fabulous. Joe D came up with that.
Well, we're going to try to get your mother on, the 2 of us.
All right,
And
let's
you will
do it.
And you will interview her.
Let's do it.
But we are going to do a second program with you in a few minutes. So we want to thank you, Charles, for coming in and telling us stories and singing a little bit. And,
My pleasure.
And talking about your famous dad.
I love to be a part of the history. He loved Beverly.
Oh,
He loved Beverly.
He certainly did. Oscar Olson, you mentioned.
Yeah.
Dr. Alt. These people were extremely important in Beverly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching our program, and we will soon have part 2. Thank you.